Maybe unpopular opinion, but jumping ledge killers shouldn't be in the game. Why is that? There, IMO. Why is that? They should always be in the game. The whole thing is to understand that you are in a bad position. You put yourself in a bad position. The game For Honor is a MOBA slash fighting game where in MOBAs you get punished for being out of position. I think 100% you should. It should be in the game. Just like how if you position yourself near a ledge, you should be able to, you should get ledged because you're not putting yourself in a good position. You could jump down and keep fighting, in my opinion. I mean, you could, but again, that's not going to punish somebody for being in a bad position. Like, the game is more than just fighting, it's also being in a better position to know where your enemy is to use your minimap. Otherwise, your minimap is useless and you just don't even have to look at it. Your minimap is there so that you know, okay, what's going on here? Is there someone going to jump on top of me? Is there someone that I could jump onto and help out my teammate really fast? There's always a lot of stuff of it. You never thought of it as a MOBA game? You're right about being out of position. Exactly. Like, think about Dominion, right? Think about Dominion. I'm going to show you something really fast there, Rob. Think about it this way, right? Map selection, right? I'm going to hold this. When you look at this, right? What do you see? I'm going to show you what you see. Watch. Because I could use my handy dandy little drawing pad. Check this out. Right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up my, not screenshot, correction. No. Full screen on here. There we go. Here we go. Now, if I remember my buttons properly, hold on. Oh shit, it's not even plugged in, son of a bitch. Hold on. I forgot this isn't plugged in. I gotta replug this into the computer. Okay. So hold on. Close. Okay. Full screen projectile. Yes. Okay, cool. So first off, hey. Okay. So, really quick, I'm going to hold this in one hand and do this. So, exactly what you said is that you see lanes, right? You have A lane, you have B lane, and you have C lane. It's a MOBA. You go ahead and you have this lane right here. This is your bot lane. Then you have bottom lane, right? And then you have top lane. And then you have a lane that is specifically favored, and that's the one that you should be going for. And then making sure you're taking care of your bot lane. 100% should be, it's a MOBA. For Honor is a MOBA. See all the cool shit that I can do? But yeah, 100%. For Honor is a MOBA. What is a MOBA? Think Dota. Think League of Legends. Think Smite. They're IMO. If you show it like that, it looks like League of Legends. Exactly. That's what a MOBA is. It's a massive online battle arena. They're IMO. That's what MOBA stands for. I'm sorry, multiplayer online battle arena. So think of your Smite, think of your like Dota, think of your League of Legends, think of your Deadlock. Just the map design in terms of gameplay. Yes. But that's how the Dominion map is made. Really good teacher. If you explain something, it's easy to understand. Well, thank you then, Nikki. I also try to like explain it in multiple ways so that you know that you have like a way of learning it. Kind of like if you're like, oh, I never knew how, I don't know how this like piece of math works. Well, try it this way. If you have 5 apples and you take 2 apples, you have 3 apples left. Stuff like that. Or if you don't understand it like that, okay, well, let's say you have 3 enemies. You destroy one of them, you still have 2 enemies that you still have to kill. Do you still play defensive? Yes. But yeah, that's how every Dominion map is made. Same thing with domination in Call of Duty. You're looking to maintain a point, which is kind of like your tower in a MOBA. And you fight to push enemy back to their spawn and to keep them away from your tower so that you are able to win and beat and like kill them finally. But instead of fighting like a giant final boss at the end like in Smite, or destroying like the whatever the thing is in League of Legends or Dota, you are finishing off the enemy. Once they're at a point of completely breaking and you've broken their will, you finish them off one by one and you're like, haha, we win. It's the same thing as like if you're on Sanctuary Bridge, right? So let's say you're on Sanctuary Bridge, right? Instead of whatever map I showed, like Viking Village, right? So you go to instead of Viking Village, you go to Sanctuary Bridge. What does this look like? Looks like a giant lane with 2 towers that you have to defend, correct? This is one whole lane. This is what we call a linear map because it's A, B, C. But then you have backcapping, which is fighting on C, which is like when you go around your enemy because they're so focused on getting your point, you're able to get their tower. And then you're able to have them have to defend that tower and come backwards so that you can push forward. It's the same fucking thing as a lane in a fucking MOBA. It's just one lane instead of you fighting on like Cathedral that has 3 lanes. That's why a lot of people don't understand how Sanctuary Bridge plays, because it's multiple people fighting in one lane, which if you honestly think about it, if you go to any MOBA, right, there's always that one teammate that only stays in their lane and doesn't come to help out the team. That is the problem, because you don't know how to team fight on one lane in a MOBA. This is the whole thing about a MOBA, is learning the basics. This is why a lot of people use this in tournaments, why Sanctuary Bridge is so prevalent in tournaments and stuff like that, because it weans out the people that don't know how to play as a team, because you have to fight on one lane. Where in this, where you're fighting in a 3-person lane, it's so much easier to fight on, because you're just mainly, a lot of people just focus on one specific point against one specific enemy and don't go out of their lane. Because if they get out of their lane, they lose the fight, because they're like, oh, I left my lane and now now the enemy has taken over. But they don't know how to, go back and keep control of that lane for their teammates. The exact same thing. And that's why For Honor is a fighting game MOBA hybrid. The exact thing. So if you want to get better at For Honor, understand main like battle strategies of MOBAs, and you will get 10 times better in For Honor. Just being able to play the maps that you know that you have. And then you can go through every single map, right? You go through every single map that's available, right? Citadel Gate is pretty much one specific lane, because you have home points, because you have C that's closer to the attacker point, A is closer to the defender point. So this is a bigger version, a wider version of Sanctuary Bridge. Overwatch Has A, B, and C all evenly apart. This is a 3-lane map. So this is not a linear map. What's the easiest way from A to B? It's either jumping down or using the ladders. Where C, you just walk down a set of stairs. C is the more important point, and that's why there's so many fights that happen on C, because it's easier to access the bot lane from it. Sanctuary Bridge, we talked about. Cathedral is a 3-point map. Even though there are partially favored like zones, it's still a 3-lane map because they're so far away from each other. Where this map plays a lot different because it's really hard to get to B. There's only specific points that you can get to B from A and from C to B. So this becomes more of like a 2-lane map instead of going to C and then going to B and then coming back to C again, because it's so hard to be able to keep those lanes maintained. So this is more of a 2 people on B, 2 people on C, and just leave A alone type of situation if you're on the defender side. Because if you were to go to A is easy to go to A and then come through to B on the defender side, because A is closer and they have that access point to B, which then the minion lane would be pushed up and you can clear out B point. But it's more advantageous to hold C point, because once you hear people clearing out the minion lane, you can go through C into B, and it becomes a lot easier to get there because you're stopping them before they're able to push their minions up forward. With the attacker side, it's easier to go and catch A and clear B out, because once the enemies are destroyed and you hear people clearing out minion lane, you can go straight from A down to B and start clearing out the minions and being able to fight that person that's clearing out your minions. With Riverfort, the fastest way to get to A is to go all the way around through the stairs or use the ladders, or to go to C and go through, which is a longer trek to take down the stairs and go to B faster and safer. A becomes a lot more of an advantage point on here because you do have access to being able to see from A to B, where in C it's really hard to see what's happening in the minion lane because there's that big ballista. That makes A the favorite, even though it's more riskier and it's a lot longer to get from A to B. It becomes more advantageous because you can use feats through A. On Shard is a different beast. I love Shard. Shard is one of my favorite maps. But C point is your minion lane this time. So it is faster for you to go to B and then go take the long way up or take the ladders to go clear out C. But the fights on A are going to be more wide open. So A becomes more favorited for those that are looking for team fights. B is more favorited for the duelist and, 2v2 type of fights, and C is able to clear out for the minion lane. With the B point taking forever to walk all the way around to take the safe way up the stairs, or to take the ladder is the same amount of time that it would take from you to walk from A to C. So there is no technically favored point on Shard, and that's why I like Shard. High Fort. C becomes a very notorious way to get around this map because there's so many ledging opportunities on C. So a lot of people fight on C to win the team fight fast and then go clear out B, because you also have a better view from C to B because there's a lot of wide open spaces. It's harder on A because, one, it's really long to take that way to go all the way around the structure to come back to A, or to go up and down the ladder. And the points of where the enemy either caps or loses B point are covered by the 2 other structures, so you can't really see A from B. That makes C the more favorited point. Forge, again, is more of like a sanctuary map, where it makes it a lot easier to clear out the minion lane and then go up to A. So this is more of, instead of a 1-lane map, more of a 2-lane map. But everyone treats it like a 1-lane because they only go through between A and C. They don't care about B, except for the one guy that's clearing out the minion lane. If you're able to instead look at this as a 2-lane map, make your life 10 times easier. Temple Garden. It's faster to go from C to B because it's a straight shot instead of having to go up 1, 2, 3 ladder wells up to A. A lot of people like to stay on A to get to duel, but then you're putting your team at a disadvantage for the team fights between B and C. So this becomes a C favored map because 1, you have the extra ledges, 2, it's a lot faster to get to C to B, and you don't have to run up multiple ladders and multiple, like, go through a trek to be able to heal. Sentinel. Sentinel is different because a long time ago, it used to be where if you were on the ballistas, like, it was perfectly fine to give up A and make sure you're keeping C for the team fight. B point has gotten a lot more important ever since they made the change where now B point also gives you +2 whenever you have it. And the ballistas become a lot more useful because not a lot of people understand like where the ballistas are, how to clear out the minion lane efficiently on this map. So having someone like a Nobu that has like a quick arrow storm as a tier 2 actually helps clear out the B lane while also being covered by A if you decide to go to C. So it depends on the composition of your team. That depends if A, B, or C are more favored for you. Viking Village. Viking Village C is nice, wide, and open, so that becomes a really nice point to clear out and makes it very favored. But this is a 3-lane map. You clear out the minion lane, it's faster to get to C. Once you clear out minion lane from defenders, you can just come around and take the ladder up. If you're from attackers, you clear minion lane and you go down that alleyway to go to C. A point becomes a lot more secluded because there are a lot more walls. There is a small spike trap near there. But it's not on the point, like not on the point exactly. It's off to the side. So A point becomes more of like a dueling area, which is why I like to go to A on this point if I'm playing someone that excels in duels. But if I'm playing someone who's more team oriented, I will go to C. Plus, it makes it a little bit easier to go from B to C because it's secluded area. While if you're running from B to A, you have like a wider gap, so it makes it harder to be able to go through there undetected. When you're going through from B to C, you can kind of hide yourself behind the minions and get through that walk point if someone's coming from defender point or from attacking point and trying to come in because that bot lane is so tightly packed. Gauntlet. Gauntlet is a different beast because Gauntlet, you kind of have to play scummy, I would say. A lot of people would call it scummy because you clear out the B lane, you have one person hold down B lane, and then you're making sure you're keeping A or C, depending on where you are, protected. So this is one of those maps where you grab C, hold B, and you're defending. This makes the map very chaotic because a lot of people decide to go, oh, I'm going to go ahead and try to backcap them when they can't win a duel. And instead of backcapping, you should just go down to B, clear out B, and then come help out on the fight on C or A, depending on where you are. C makes it more of a team fight. A makes it more of a dueling fight. So it depends on where you are the strongest, where you should be working out on. Let's say you're spawning on the defender point, which is the A side, and you see that there is a team fight going on at A. You don't have B, and C is not there, and it's a 4v3 on A. Really tight spot. You shouldn't be there because you have very wide swings. You go through, clear B, move over to C, and have them push up because you know your teammates are probably not going to win that fight on A. Or if they're stalling enough, once they're low, they're able to keep that stall, and then they have to come back and heal, and you're able to finish them off at C with a wide area for you to fight as like a Kensei. So that's how you decide to play on that map. Beachhead. Beachhead becomes to a point where it's like a 2-lane map where you have the lane from A all the way to C, and then you have B lane with easy ways to get to B to go to A or C. This becomes a very team fight oriented map because you can push enemies very openly and you're able to see your enemy, you're able to see your teammates, and you can kind of make on the fly decisions to figure out what's going on. So Beachhead becomes more of a team fight map where it's more like Sanctuary, but it's more of like a 2-lane map. So it's kind of like Forge. And that's why not a lot of people like Beachhead, because you kind of have too many ways to go, which is unlike Forge, because Forge feels very narrow, but Beachhead is very wide in that regard. But understanding that it's more of a team fight map will help you in deciding which hero to pick. That's why Centurion really doesn't do the best on Beachhead, because it's so wide open and you're able to see where everything is, so you're able to really make good decisions on Beachhead. Harbor. Harbor becomes a 3-lane map because you have point A, where a lot of people have their specific way that they go from A, C, and B. Now, a lot of the times, especially when you're talking about tournaments, a lot of people go from the attacker side, send one person to C, 2 people to A. And same thing with defenders, they send 2 people to C, 1 person to A. So a lot of the times it depends on where you make your first decision on where you're sending 2 people and where you're sending 1 person or 2 people, depending on what you're deciding, which is like either you're going to go with a 2-1-1 comp or a 2-2 comp. So a 2-1-1 means like you send 2 to A, 1 to B, 1 to C, or you send 2 to A, 2 to B. That's what I mean by 2-1-1 or 2-2. So understanding where you need to focus on and how you're going to take these fights is depending on what your enemy does. And then it becomes a chess match, because you have a certain opening, your enemy has a certain defense that they're doing, which is their opening. And once the openings are like put out, then you decide what happens after those moves. So Harbor is more of a chess match. And that's all of the all of the Dominion modes, all of the Dominion maps, and how you should play them. And understanding where you need to be to understand which hero is going to help you out in those maps. Like Citadel Gate, really wide version of Sanctuary Bridge. Minion lane is fucking huge, and it's very important for your push. Heroes like Kensei, heroes like Raider are going to do well to help your teammates push up on B to be able to keep that pressure on C point from the defenders working. But you should not always go up to C, because A point is going to be very important. So this is one of those maps where you should have 1 person standing by, where once you see someone starting to blink red and you see someone roll out, you should roll over. Well, first check to see if anyone's coming from the enemy team. You should always be looking. So like one thing I like to do here is, I'm not going to add bots, no time limit. So I'm going to launch and I'm going to go to one of the points and explain to you what you should be looking for. So on this map, I really like to play Kensei, and we're going to use my Arizona Green Tea Kensei to show this off really fast. And you can do this on any map too, to understand exactly where you think you want to do. So right now we're spawning on the C point, right? So you should have at least 2 people go to B, 2 people to C, or 3 people to B, 1 person to C. So you go up to the C point, and what you're going to be doing on the C point when you're over here is you're going to see what's happening. So if you're over here, you're going to stand over here, so you're kind of not getting bombed and you're not going to get ledged. So if you're looking to see what's happening on the point here. Once you see someone's low and someone rolled away, oh, let me go down and go check out and try to stop him from getting killed, or any enemy trying to stop him from capping, and I'm able to let him heal. But you're also looking to see if anyone's coming over here at this point, see if anyone's coming to go ahead and try to stop him from healing. Same thing from looking down here. So if you're over here, you're looking at all of this area, keeping track of people, also while keeping an eye on this area. Now we'll go ahead and we'll flip-flop to the A point. So this is going to look stupid because I'm not going to reset it just for this example. But let's say you're spawning on the defender side, where you're coming up from here. One person should always be coming up to A. Once they come up to A, you're going to go ahead and from the beginning of the round, grab here, and you're going to kind of stand back here. So you're looking at what's happening on the map over here while also keeping a small eye on the corner of your map over here to see if anyone's going to come by and stop your teammates from healing or try to stop you from getting points. Oh, teammates low. Guess what? Boom. I run over and I'm already here to help him out. These are all MOBA tactics.
Hey,